Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Crazy Beats Big podcast. I am your host, Kevin Romeo. And what this podcast is celebrating entrepreneurs who overcome tremendous odds or obstacles and learning their stories and finding out why they do the things they do. And we're super excited. This is very critical and elemental to Rhino's ethos here. And this is, I guess we're calling this sponsored by Rhino. We're not really sure how to say that yet. But a little bit behind the name, Crazy Beats Big essentially came from an idea I had when I was a kid riding the school bus. And I think everyone's experienced this in life where you see a little guy kind of getting picked on by a bigger bully over a period of time. And I saw this where day after day, the bully kind of picked on the little kid. And then eventually something just snapped in the little guy and he kind of went crazy and he kicked the crap out of the big guy. So for me, I kind of took that as a life lesson. That when you want something bad enough or you're sick and tired of getting kicked around, you got to go a little crazy to get what you want or to stand up for yourself. So I love that in business. It's a very good analogy for me in entrepreneurship. I think a lot of people can connect with it. And so when we talked about starting a new podcast for Rhino, we identified a few people in Kalamazoo local to us that we thought were inspiring or doing really cool work or had a really interesting story. And you guys who you can't see at home unless you're on Facebook Live with us, but I have Kyle and Natasha with us, and they are from NONLA Burger, which is a really boss burger joint here in Kalamazoo. If you want to know how much we love it, we actually just had it prior to starting this podcast. So, the producers and the production assistants all were raving and crunching their lettuce into the microphones as we were testing all this out. So Kyle and Natasha, I'll kick it off. Basically, I want to hear a little bit about your story. Before we got rolling, you were talking about kind of where you came from and all that. If I were to talk about NONLA, what do you guys say about NONLA? Why don't you go ahead and introduce what NONLA Burger is and let's start with that. So what is NONLA Burger? And remember, get right up on that mic too.
So we're speaking about NONLA Burger and not NONLA when you say...
Yes, NONLA Burger.
NONLA Burger. I think... your question again?
So let me do this. So NONLA Burger is, as I would describe it, is a really funky little, really interestingly curated burger joint. It's a really small space. I would even refer to it as a shack. No offense, obviously. You guys know what you're doing. It's a really fun little space. Very affordable prices. Super tasty. Kind of feels West Coasty, a little burger joint. Everything's a la carte pricing. When we first heard about it, all the Rhino team flocked there. And basically every time you go there, it is well attended. There's a lot of people in line. The line moves quick though. And I think when we saw it come to Kalamazoo, a lot of us around here were like, this is exactly what Kalamazoo needs. This is exactly a perfect fit. And word has been spreading, I would say, like wildfire. And I think it just perfectly suited what Kalamazoo would get down with. So I guess talk to me about how you guys made the decision to come from California to be a part of this burger joint.
Okay, I'll go back a little bit. So we partnered with my friend Johnny, who I've known since we were probably like 14 years old. Johnny and I have loosely kind of talked always about opening a restaurant together. And Johnny's been in the culinary arts for, I think, about 20 years, maybe a little bit more than that. And we always keep in touch. And then it wasn't until, I'd say, this summer that I came out here and got to visit him for the first time, see his first restaurant, which is NONLA Vietnamese, meet his two kids that he has. And at that point, I got to see his restaurant, see what he's doing. And at that point, he was looking to open up another restaurant. And he asked if I wanted to partner up with him. And I said, yes. This is not knowing NONLA Burger, what it may be. We just knew that we want to go into business together. So after having breakfast at the Crow's Nest, Johnny, his wife Kelly, and his two kids, we made a day out of it looking for locations. We found two locations. One was here in downtown, and the other one was where NONLA Burger is now. And
can I pause?
Yep.
You're a photographer. why was this something you were up for doing? And you're a really good photographer. If you guys don't know, Kyle's a really baller photographer. Just a little quick shout out. Shot his own wedding photos in Italy. Crushed it.
If I weren't a photographer, I would want to go into the culinary arts. I'd probably pursue being a chef or do something like that. I love food. I love photography. Why doing this? I've had a good run, and I still am having a good run as a photographer. I've always dreamed of opening up a restaurant. I've always wanted to do this. Johnny and I have loosely talked about this probably about 12 years ago in San Francisco as roommates. It sounded exciting. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur and always wanted to work for myself. And this was just another project adventure to, not that I'm giving up photography by any means, but just something to add to my resume, something to fulfill my passion, my dreams. I'm a dreamer. I love to do all these different things. And I really wanted to open up a restaurant, and Johnny approached me, and I said yes right away. And
I think it's really interesting that you agreed to do it without even knowing what the restaurant was. That's really cool and kind of scary.
Well, so that day at first I was a little worried about it, but once I saw NONLA Vietnamese and what Johnny has created, I was really impressed. He had a good team. He had a really quaint little old post office that's turned into a restaurant. I was really inspired by it, really liked it. And it's in such a small town, Mattawan. And for him to bring, to do well at a small location in a small town. And why didn't he start in Kalamazoo or somewhere else? But he chose Mattawan, which is tiny. And he has such a good following. But what's most importantly, I know his drive. I know his work ethic. I know how passionate he is about food. And that in itself is inspiring. That's another reason why I wanted to partner up with him, because of his attitude and his experience and just where he's at. But yeah, so I got to finally got to come out here and actually see it in person. And I was really impressed. And I took a couple of days. Johnny was working in Mattawan, and Cali was busy with the kids. I took their car. I came out to Kalamazoo, drove around. And then when I went to Crow's Nest, I saw a lot of people. I saw a line out the door. And at first I was like, where is everybody? And, maybe I just came at the bad time. And then I saw a lot of people at the Crow's Nest. There was a line, a lot of people flocked there. And I was impressed. The food was really good. I had outstanding breakfast. So I'm like, okay, there's people that they will come.
If the food is really good, 100% agree.
I agree.
There's always a line there.
There is a line there. So we always kind of, Johnny, Kelly, and I, we kind of talked about not to pull a whole Kevin Costner Field of Dreams, but if you build something really great, I think people they'll come.
100%.
100%. So we really believed in that. Absolutely. But NONLA Burger is really interesting because we found a spot. We drove around that day. We found a spot that was it was a perfect location. It had a great shell to it, and it was more for a casual dining. And then after that, we drove by this, which is now NONLA Burger. We found this location. But what stood out the most was that it was a standalone corner spot. It was just charming that it was on the corner, standalone, had good traffic coming through there. And I think if I remember correctly, Kelly said, "Oh, this is kind of cute. This is summertime." She's like, "I think this could be a cool little burger place." And Johnny and were like, "Yeah, soft serves."
So you didn't
picnic benches out there.
You guys didn't think of the concept until you saw the building?
Exactly.
That's freaking rad.
Yeah. No.
I didn't even realize that.
No, the concept didn't happen until we saw the building. And awesome. I remember Kelly. I'm almost certain that Kelly in the car, she was like, "This could be a cute little burger joint." And Johnny and I were like, we all agreed on it. And because again, it's standalone. We envisioned picnic tables, summertime, soft serves, shakes, that kind of thing. And then shortly after that, we talked about it. We We actually were really pushing for the previous place.
I'm getting hungry. I just realized talking about this. I just had it anyway.
So the NONLA Burger location off Burdick and Alcott was a backup. Like there was a place that we were really excited about, which we wanted to move forward with. Felt more like casual dining. It wasn't until I came home that Johnny and I talked on the phone like maybe 6 weeks later, and he's like, I want to move forward with that space. And I know why he wanted to move forward with that space where we wanted to, is that it already had a shell of a kitchen. It already had a hood. It already had, there was previous restaurants that have been there. So for young entrepreneurs, more affordable. We'd put more money into the other place. To build out a hood is expensive. This place already had an existing shell of a restaurant. So it was more affordable to us to get it up and running. And we really liked, again, the standalone, the corner spot on a busy street. And we really felt like if you just build it right with the right team, people are gonna come.
So how long have you been open now?
We were open October 17th was the day we opened.
So almost 5 months. So this week will be 5 months once we hit the 17th.
You don't look like you've gained any weight since it started.
You know, that's funny. My friend, one of my best friends down in California, is like, so how much weight have you gained? Yeah.
I feel like I've gained a few pounds since it started, but I don't think you have. So that's impressive.
You gotta be really smart about what you eat around there. No, it's all really all good. Like in the sense, like our menu, yes, it might sound fatty, but we use like a lot of great ingredients that, I'm not saying that obviously if you ate it every day, it might gain some weight.
Yeah, we're not doing supersize me NONLA version.
But other than that, it's really not bad food. And if you portion it right, you're good. And we get creative. We eat lettuce wrapped burgers, which you can get. It's part of our, I guess you would say, hidden menu. But yeah, basically you can come in NONLA Burger, you can order a burger without a bun, and therefore we lettuce wrap it. And so we do that daily when we work there, because obviously bread can add carbs and we can all get fat from there. But yeah, it's good though. I mean,
hold on real quick. You're a photographer, very good photographer. Who have you worked with? Can you rattle off a couple clients? Sorry, I keep throwing random questions at you.
I've worked with the Washington Post. I've worked with Google. I've worked with...
Yeah, that's enough. Those are good names. So Kyle's got some legit photography, and then you are a fashion designer, right?
Yeah, that's my background. I started in the clothing industry when I was 15 and a half. Knowing I wanted to work in clothing or creating clothing since I can remember, probably around 5, 6 years old. I was always sketching and trying to build things out, and sewing was a big thing for me. And yeah, so when I got the chance to get into the work field, I started in retail at 15 and a half. I worked my way up at the same store. I worked my way up to manager and then therefore a fashion buyer. So I was buying for a skate shop, and obviously skate shops are very popular in Orange County in California. So I always knew I wanted like a type of job where it was more relaxed style. I'm not the couture girl. Definitely like just your everyday fashion. And so yeah, from that, I worked my way up to fashion buyer. I worked for another company, and I bought for a 15-door chain. So just bought for all their stores. And then from there, got into design. And I was in design before I was in college, and went for my BA in public relations, which I don't use, but you can't have a fashion. No, you can totally have a fashion degree. No, yeah, you can have a fashion degree, but at the time it was back in the day, and I was scared. I was scared to have a fashion degree. So what I did was I got a BA in public relations, and my minor is in fashion design. So I still went for fashion. I was still pursuing that the whole time, but I was a little scared. And if I were to look back now, I really wish I did go for the fashion design, but it didn't stop me. Let's say that. I continued on, and I started working for one, I had my own shoe line for a little bit. I had my own shoe company.
You're the only person I know that can say that. So.
Yeah. And I was 21 years old and had my own shoe line. It was called Tosh Limited. My name is Natasha, and I go by Tosh. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was Tosh Limited. I ran that for 2 years. I remind you, I was 21 years old, and I wanted to party, go out and live a life. And I was also in college, and it was hard to run everything at such a young age. So I ended up walking away from it. Also, too, the investors weren't right. So I walked away from it and I jumped into a growing company that really needed me at the time, which was Lyra Clothing. And they were going to drop their women's line. They were guys and they were trying to do women's wear and men's wear, but they were succeeding more in in men's wear. So they gave me the chance to take over, and I did. And I was there for 10 years, and then I just recently left it and leaped into this new field of restaurant. Burgers. Yeah. If you would have asked me a couple years ago, I would be running a burger joint with my husband in Michigan, I would have laughed at all of that. But this is my reality, and I'm really, really happy I did it. And a lot of it was, trusting, not following, trusting in him. And we were living in California, and going back on his story, how he came here in the summer and visited his best friend, Johnny, and his wife, Kelly, and they were already owning a restaurant. He was texting me when he was out here. He was just like, what do you think about this place? And I'm like, why are we looking at restaurants? Like, what is going on? It's like, what do you think about a burger place?
Logos
and all this stuff. And I'm like, you're crazy. But I also never told him that, but I was thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, that's a little crazy. And I had a feeling in me, like, he's going to come home and ask, want to jump into this. And he was planting seeds, but in all the right ways. Like, for some reason, that inner voice, which I always tell anybody I'm working with or whoever I'm speaking to, and like I talk to classes and things like that on fashion, that inner voice is so important. It talks to you, and whether you're in a relationship, a bad relationship, good relationship, or your career or whatever it may be, that inner voice is so important. And that inner voice was telling me, go for it. All your stars are aligning in the sense that you're already leaving your job of 10 years. You're what are you going to do next? And what I was going to do next was start my own fashion line. And I started putting all the numbers together and realized I was going to have to seek $1 million investment. And I wasn't okay with that. I wasn't ready for that. So, he came home and told me this thing about a burger restaurant in Kalamazoo and a bigger picture. And I just thought, why not? Let's go for it. So we did.
I love that.
I thought there'd be more convincing.
Yeah.
And as she picks me up from the airport, we're having this discussion on the way home, and very supportive, and like, okay, she was like, yes. I was like, I have this idea, and
at what point did you propose marriage? Was it because you're kind of making it sound like this is I say yes to this? Like,
no, yeah, that was the proposal, really. No, it wasn't. But I'm just saying,
will you start a burger joint?
Yeah, it should have been, right? No, yeah, we like he said, I picked him up from the airport in Orange County. He was like, hey, look, and I'm already kind of feeling it in me. I was like, it's gonna come, and he told me about it, and I'm like, yes, let's do it. Not one hesitation in me. I was like, I want to do this. Let's go. Like, I believe in myself enough to support and help this. And I also know him well enough that he wouldn't bring on a project like this if it wasn't in our better interest. And that's what I loved about it. And it all sounded right. And I didn't even know Johnny and Kelly. I've never even met them. So wow. I was taking a big leap, like leaving my home, my comfort zone of California, Orange County, my world of fashion, to jump into this with him.
Dude, how does that make you feel that she's got your back to that degree?
I mean, I feel like wonderful. I feel great. Like, I know there was a lot of pressure. Going back to listening to your intuition, your guts. In my heart, like, I believed like this was the right thing to do. And I believed in Johnny. I believed in Kelly. I believed in Natasha. I believed in myself. If we all partnered together, I felt like we could do this. It was a huge risk. I mean, her family, our family, everyone's like, Kalamazoo, where? What? Kalamazoo, you're moving there? Like, you're leaving design and photography and
weather. And money out here,
all this, but I just believed in it, and
thankfully our parents were super supportive. We found a place pretty easily. We just everything, like, again, I keep saying the word stars align. I don't know why, but it just comes to my mind, so I'm gonna say it. But like, in the sense it did, it was like every little thing was like working out. We got the place on Elcott and Burdick. the overhead looked like it was going to be super inexpensive for us, which was nice. To start a business, you want that, obviously. And so, everything looked great, and we didn't have to seek investment for it, which when I go back on like the starting my own clothing line, like the idea sounded great, but at the end of the day, the reality wasn't going to be as great. It was going to take me longer to get that money paid back. And this was an investment that we were going to be able to start and hopefully pay ourselves back pretty soon. And thankfully, since opening, we've had that success. So yeah. And the whole proposal thing all happened on our way out, coming out to Kalamazoo. We drove out to Michigan, and along the way, we got engaged. So it was pretty cool. So yeah, how could I say no as I was moving my life for a man, right? So
let me think about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not all in on you.
He knew there was going to be a yes at the end of that, right?
Yeah.
But no, it was all great. Like I wanted that. He wanted that. So we knew it was right.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I think that's one of the cool things about entrepreneurship is so much that going through school in America, we go through this process of like leveling up, and grade after grade, you feel like you're really going somewhere and you have these plans, but then so often your plans don't align like you intended. And then you got to look for these new circumstances and new opportunities. And I think it's really cool how, this whole thing really, the central element of this whole story is like trust. And your trust in Johnny, you're talking all about your trust in him and belief in him. I just think that's so critical to making something happen, and how much what people aren't in the entrepreneurial space don't understand is how much the world spins on humans believing in other humans and their ideas.
For sure.
And believing in yourself.
Yeah.
I really believe in like, even with myself in photography, I think really if you you put the work and you have passion behind it. But I was aligning with someone who's talented in the culinary field, but along with like passion and hard work, you have passion, hard work, and talent, you're dangerous.
And some friends.
You're dangerous. Yeah.
I think believing in yourself is a good thing, because I believed in myself to jump in a whole different career, which I was going to be a restaurant, owner. And I've never, ever served a day in my life. Yep. I stayed far away from that industry because I didn't think I had it in me, to be honest. I was just like, I don't want to deal with food. I don't want to deal with people. And people with food can get a little crazy. And
especially if they haven't had it yet.
Yeah, so it gets crazy. But I believed in myself that I could do this with him, and he believed in himself to do this too. So it was really cool.
I think something that you just said that I find interesting too is you never saw yourself doing the restaurant industry, but I think when you are having some control over the outcome, you're certainly willing to work that register,
sure.
And you're really good at it. I think you've like, we've talked about this when I come in, how you want to make sure that the tone is set, and this is how we treat people. This is how we handle interactions at the counter, and really set that stage in the culture. And I think it's really cool, because I think a lot of people could have certainly started that and said, get me out of here as fast as possible. I want to hire somebody for, an hourly wage, and then I can go and like run social media.
Yeah.
But I think it's really respectable how much you've hung in there in that spot,
For sure.
because that's so important. But I just think it's interesting how when you have the opportunity to start something, you are more than willing to do basically whatever it takes to make it right, which is quintessential entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And leading is really hard to do, to be honest. Like, I can sometimes, and I think Kyle can agree with himself, we can be a little bit in control. We want to do it our way, but like I listen to everybody.
The NONLA way.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I can be a little controlling, but in a sense I'm delegating. And I think all of that is a way of me learning, and I'm becoming into this manager role and helping these, I say younger because they're younger than me, most of them. And, they're learning off of us. They're watching us. And I'm like, if I can only be your role model in this, if you can learn as much as you can, that's great. And I'm going to work really hard, not only because it's my business, but I want you to do that when I'm not around. And there's going to be a day that we might be on a different project or something like that. And I want everybody to be working just as hard as we would. And I think they're going to work that hard if we show that, and like you said, there's a lot of owners or people that just walk away, you know, like you're paid to do this, so you do it, you know, but it's like, why not show you like the ways and do it with pride. And yeah, that's what I hope that I'm doing at the front end of the counter. He's doing an amazing job in the back end of the house because it's crazy back there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
With all the orders we're getting, it's nuts. And yeah, so
I'd say it's like leadership 101 though, is being able to, you know, wanting people to have a better experience because of what you do. Leadership can a lot of times is defined as having influence, and I think John Maxwell says like leadership is influence, and that, and nothing more, nothing less. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to influence the people that work for you to look at work a certain way and not just look at it as a crappy hourly job, but say like, this is actually a job where you can grow in your skill set and grow in your interpersonal communication skills. And maybe you might be inspired by being here, by our story, and all the different ways that you can lead people into a better direction. That's like at Rhino. I'm always kind of saying to people, like, I want a place where people can feel like they have a pretty fair amount of vocational fulfillment out of their work. I can't fulfill all their life's needs and longings, obviously, but for the work sphere, I want them to feel very satisfied with the work they get to do that has meaning for them, and that when they go home and kiss their loved one and they come home, that they have a sense of dignity and pride in the work they do, and then that you can feel good. You don't want to have a job full of people that go, I hate that friggin' place. No. I can't wait to quit. You know, it's the worst.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
I think that we should, I mean, it all goes back. You want to wake up every day and be happy at what you do, right? I think that's what that's our drive at the end of the day. So like, even when it's down to your employees, you want them to be happy and to come in and work for you. And we have quite a bit of employees that, I mean, at least they tell us that. They tell us that they're really happy to work for us and that we're one of the coolest jobs that they've had ever. And to me, you know, coming, and I'm not saying I'm better than anywhere or anything, but coming from life experience of owning a business, having maybe that business fail, to going to growing a clothing brand, to now jumping into restaurant, you know, and like, it's just crazy to hear that. You're like, oh, cool. You're like, dude, you have so much ahead of you though, too. You know, like, it's like, you get excited for them. You're like, this is just the beginning of what you're about to like experience. Yep. And,
when you were 21 with the shoe line, you probably thought, how old are you now? You said?
I'm 32.
Yeah. So if you were probably thinking of yourself at 32, you thought you probably thought that was really old, and like you were totally spent in life, and you could, if you hadn't made it by then,
for sure.
it's all over.
Like, for sure. I thought I was gonna, like, not that this is a bad thing, it's a good thing, but I thought for sure I was like married, have kids, and I would probably be like not so much doing what I'm doing now. And I'm excited. I'm married, and you know, we don't have kids yet, but working on it. But in the sense that like we're owners of something, and it's really cool. And
you guys
life
are bringing
throws you crazy things.
Yeah, and awesome. Frankly, just from being from Kalamazoo, you guys are bringing a ton of excitement here. Like we can be on this side of the table and say like, we're excited that you guys did this, and we're thankful, genuinely thankful, because I've always been fascinated with the first, second, third home kind of philosophy of thinking. Your first home is your actual home. Your second home is probably work. Your third home are places like NONLA, to people like us, to say, I feel a home there. This brings me vitality and enrichment. I love the people there. I love the food. I love the experience. It's part of my life, like brand. And so like when you do something cool in a town like Kalamazoo, I think people like welcome it with open arms, because you're adding really something really rich and unique to the scene. So, from my perspective,
with NONLA Burger, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to put out like good food and good service, and keep it affordable, and keep it fresh. And it's kind of as simple as that. So
simple, but not so simple in the sense, like when you were saying that, and I'm going to go back to Johnny and Kelly, because when you said us, you feel like it's home when you come in. You like, we know your name, all this stuff, and it's not just because we know you've come in so many times that we know you very well. No, just Kelly and Johnny have done an amazing job doing that at NONLA Vietnamese, and they really were, telling us that that's what NONLA Burger needed to be too. And coming in from not knowing the restaurant industry at all, that was kind of my what's it called, mantra, like in your head, you're just kind of like, okay, like know every customer's name when they come in, say hello, say goodbye. Even if you're in the midst of doing something with a customer, like say goodbye. And then I started telling our servers that like, this is so important. You need to try to remember people's names. I want everybody that comes in, good or bad, to feel like they're having, you know, whatever meal it is out of their day with a friend, you know, kind of like we've been watching a lot of Cheers. So I'm like, I feel like Cheers would be a good way of like
having something to talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Knowing they're like,
you've literally been watching a lot of Cheers?
He's been getting me into it. I haven't seen it in so long. He's like, we got to watch Cheers.
So I'm a Seinfeld guy.
Oh yeah. So are we.
I'm a big Larry David fan.
Curb, Kyle.
Seinfeld, go way back.
We're brothers.
There we go.
I like Cheers because it's Ted Danson. There's so much Ted Danson and Larry David and Seinfeld canon, you know?
Yeah.
Where George was mad that Ted Danson made $800,000 an episode or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, have you ever seen Larry David living out there? Have you ever bumped into him?
I have not.
Side note. Okay. That'd be my life
Jeff.
goal.
Is it
really?
Jeff
Jeff
Garland?
His
manager? Yeah, I've seen him.
That's cool. Yeah. We don't see famous people in Kalamazoo a whole lot, so it's kind of.
But I would like to have lunch with Larry David.
Oh my gosh.
I would.
I'd probably, honestly, we talked about this. I said I'd probably pay $10,000 to have lunch with Larry David.
I would.
Probably higher.
If he'd let me film it. I don't know if I would if it was like not on camera.
For sure.
I don't know. What would you say has like been the toughest thing through this experience? And we've kind of bounced around that a little bit, but is there any one thing that has been like particularly stands out as an obstacle? Or do you feel like the stars have just aligned all the way to the point of this podcast?
Well, for me, being a boss, I've been a freelance photographer I've been a little bit of a kind of a control. Like it's nice that I can have everything in control of my own hands. So it's working for myself I work with independent contractors, and if they're not up to par, then you don't have to call them back. But like hiring people and letting people go, that's a challenge. Not that I want that to happen, but I think just being a boss and being a good leader and having employees that's been a little bit of a challenge for me. I've always been just very independent and working more solo. So building a team underneath me and NONLA Burger, that's been a challenge for me.
I second that notion. I feel the same way. Like leading people in the right direction. You want to make sure that they're doing it right. Also letting go of your business, your baby. Not saying we're letting go yet, but let's just put for perspective. I was supposed to have the day off today and I worked all day. It's hard to let go. I woke up this morning and saw a sun, and then I was just like, all right, well, it's going to be a busy day at NONLA Burger. So I don't know, not that they can't handle it, they can, but I'm like, let me just be that extra hand. Let me just be there, be present. And so. Because
the sun was out, you said?
Yeah,
and you knew it'd be a big day?
Oh, yeah. When the sun's out, we're scared for the summer, by the way. We're very scared. But we're also bring it on. Challenge accepted. No. It's when the sun's out here, they line up, which is amazing. So I knew when the sun was out this morning, I need to be there to help out, just be that extra hand. And that part of like kind of being there and like letting them handle the front end of the house and kind of staying in the back it's hard. It's challenging. You want to kind of step in and be like, no, I got this. I can do this. Not that I'm doing it better, but I just feel like I got it, and letting go, being a boss is probably the most challenging thing.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. I think, that's definitely a thing I think every entrepreneur has to go through. And the trick is that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to be able to train people and teach them your ways, frankly, because if you just create a business and then you work in that business, that's noble, but you just created a job. You're not really doing an entrepreneurial thing if you just never grow out of that and you don't bring along other people. So that's why entrepreneurship and leadership are so inextricably linked. And it really benefits you to develop your leadership abilities and like kind of hand in hand with just being entrepreneurial. And they're not necessarily the same skill set by any means. Entrepreneurs tend to be a lot more kind of obviously risk taking, but a little bit more creative. Kind of often can be you over index on your quality of ideas. Like you tend to believe that your ideas are good, which is how it works. And the only thing that can prove or disprove that is the results of your work. So clearly, the proof is in the pudding for you guys that that's all working. The leadership kicks in when you go, I need to teach someone else to do this so I can have a life, or I can, have a little bit more balance, or go start another thing. So I definitely, I can relate. And with what we do and have such an artistic perspective, very hard, like trying to, if I sat down and directed every single video project, or I took every photo, or I edited every video, we'd be a team of like 3 people. And I never wanted to do that. So it's ongoing journey for us too. So if you could give one big piece of advice to someone who's maybe going to step out into the world of entrepreneurship, maybe facing some big obstacles, and you would maybe say kind of personifies this Crazy Beats Big, maybe someone who's always had a dream but wasn't able to flip the switch to make it happen, what would be the thing you'd tell them? Like what word of advice would you give? It doesn't have to be one thing, but keep it easy on you. Maybe just say one thing.
What people would say is cliche, but it's not, in the sense of never giving up. Like just following that passion. It's there. It's inside of you. It's there. You just gotta like hear a lot of no's until you hear a yes, and just keep pushing yourself. Really not pushing just your business, but pushing yourself. Like I think it's a lot of personal connection. At least from my standpoint, like I had to constantly push myself. And I look back now and I'm just like, how was I 20 years old getting a degree? I only, just real quick, I like got my BA at one university and got my minor at a junior college all at the same time while working a full-time job. And I look back now and I'm like, I don't even remember that girl. Like it's just crazy. I'm like, how did I do that? It seems almost impossible, but I did it. So that impossible is not so impossible if you just keep pushing yourself.
Yep.
So that's it.
Kyle?
I think fear is a good thing. I think rejection should be like you're gonna make mistakes. I think you need to like push forward, be persistent, but really like not to sound again be cliche, but like really follow your gut, your heart, and I think pursue what you love to do, what you like to do. As wild and crazy as that sounds, like I chose photography because I like it. It makes me feel good. I turned a hobby into a profession. And food has always been a hobby that's now turned into a profession. So those are just simple things that I enjoy doing, and I see no other reason but to pursue something that I enjoy doing. And if you happen to be good at it, even better. But if not, like keep pushing at it and keep trying at it. Like just rejection, and it's okay to make mistakes. Like I think mistakes they're gonna happen, and they only make you stronger. And fear is something that like it's wonderful. Like if you understand it and you really digest it, and like it's gonna happen. Like if you don't push past that. And also, go get a shitty job. Get a terrible job that you hate.
He says this all the time, which is such good advice.
No, seriously, like I hated my job at being a box boy. I was like sitting there going, every hour, like it was like 10 to 7, 11 to 8, 12 to 9, those kind of jobs. You have a 15-minute break. I'd sit there and go, oh my gosh, I hate this. So like when you have a job that you can't stand, it just makes you never want to like do something that again. And that was a big reason. Like I was like, I can't wait till I get older and I work for myself. When I was like, as soon as I started working at Albertsons, I took like 16 to 18, pushing shopping carts, doing all that. I was like, you know what? That's it. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself. So go out there and get the shittiest job you can. And I work for the shittiest salary. And then you know what? You're going to get motivated to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. I couldn't agree with that more. I've always said like, I was very motivated from an early age because I worked jobs I hated. And so I had a very like deep well of energy I knew what I didn't want. And therefore you can start imagining what other things might be. But if you never have the ability to kind of almost like fantasize about what a really nice job might be, you kind of settle for the middle, which is like not something I really like, but it's not the worst, and it's a paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of my biggest fears growing up was, what am I going to do? I was always like, what am I going to be? What am I going to do? But I was like, just, like, I'm not really religious, but I'd talk to someone. I'd just be like, I just want to find something that like it just connects, that it makes sense, that like I'm excited about. And, it took a little while, but I found something that I like and I kind of stuck with it. But I think I was, at a point where I just wanted to know what I wanted to do. And that was my biggest, and I know that comes at different paths for everyone, but if there's something like, there's a little bit of excitement, run with it, at least. See where it goes. If you're just drawn toward it, listen to the inner voice. Just go for it. Don't be soft. Just try it and see where it goes. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Then you go into something else that you like. At least go with the past something that you like to do.
Circling back to that fear. Don't be fearful. Just go with it.
That's very cool. I think for me, like, it's been really inspiring to watch you guys go and see you do your thing, especially as we're amping up to open up our coffee shop. And I know you guys are going to be there because you live right around the corner.
I'm going to be your new regular for sure.
That's awesome. So we've gotten to film and see a lot of cool places. And every time you take a little bit away from that place and you go, I think what I try to do is go, what could I do to bring back some of whatever they had going on back to our community? Because if I just lived here and worked here and didn't make it better based on my experiences, I think that'd be a sad thing. So, a couple of towns that I've gotten to travel out west, we get to film out in Bozeman a bit. And then, my wife and I visited Jackson Hole, Jackson Hole is actually insane because it's like the most expensive town on the planet. Jackson Hole, Wyoming. If you ever go there, it's really beautiful. But the joke there is that the billionaires are driving out all the millionaires in Jackson Hole. Like, you can look up a house for sale in Jackson Hole that for here would sell for about $70,000, and it's $900,000.
Wow.
It's nuts. Anyway, but there's things at some of these locations where you see people doing things that just have a really good sense of design or have a really different way of thinking about the product or the experience or whatever. And so you come away and you want to bring something like that back here. And that doesn't mean that you don't like what is already here. It just means you want to try something different and you want to offer something new. And I think a community really can get energized when you develop new things. And that's actually one thing I want to touch on before we wrap up real quick is I love how you could easily, restaurant owners, like, take note. This is what I want to kind of point out. Or anyone with a service-based retail type situation. You guys do a really good job because you could just start your restaurant and then say, here's our menu. We serve that same menu every day and come in and get it. And then you could say on Instagram, come in and get it. Check us out. And it gets so annoying. But what you guys do that I think is really smart and really interesting, creates a lot of unique interest, is you try new things and you say, today only, come get the fish sando. There's 40 of them. Mm-hmm. And you even emailed me that one day. You're like, hey man, we're going to have the fish sandwich. I was like, I am on a VIP list that I'm really excited about. So
I
think that's the creativity that's brewing in all of us. I mean, we would get bored if we were doing the same thing over and over. Like, I need that excitement. I mean, that's why I'm a photographer, because everything is random. There's a new project. I'm on a new location, meet new people. Like, I need that in my life. And I know Johnny needs that too. Like, he gets stir crazy. Like, he wants to create like a new dish. And I think Tosh wants something like that too. So I think, and even Kelly, I think we're all we're all creatives, and we get excited about doing something new. We could never just be like, this is the way it's going to be forever. There's just no way. NONLA Burger will always have new dishes.
Yeah.
And with the other restaurant, I mean, we're just excited to be creative and just to make things constantly and keep it going. And that's just always going to be something that's going to stand with the NONLA Burger family, or NONLA family, or however you put this. Yeah.
Our specials help create content too. And I think that's important for every business, whether it's a restaurant or whatever. You need content. You need it, especially this day and age. We're all in social world. And so we need to keep people intrigued. And yes, we know the burger and our double is great and everybody loves it, but what else is going to make you guys tick? What else is going to make people excited? And I
think what's really cool that I just want to comment on too is that I think it's unique that you both come from creative backgrounds, starting this business, which could be very systematized and non-creative, like we're just saying. But I wish more entrepreneurs and business owners understood that. And I think you're seeing more and more of it, but I've always been really into championing businesses that you could start the business and it could be profitable. And in a lot of senses, on the books, that is a success. And there's really nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing that. But I think I'm really into businesses that have a creative perspective and a very unique vision for how it should be. And you keep striving to make it better and keep that should be out in front of you and growing it. And I think that's going to be key in the future, and future generations who are into that want to patronize a business. They need that creative vision behind it. And I think, honestly, that kind of wraps around full circle for me for like the whole Crazy Beats Big thing, is that businesses that infuse some creativity into their work, even though they may be traditionally not creative at all. Like, why would you necessarily think that a burger company should be creative? But you guys totally are. And that's why I think this conversation makes tons of sense. And why when we were talking about, we're like, NONLA's perfect. First people to talk to on this.
Yeah. I think too, going on that crazy, I love that name because it's can be defined in so many ways. And let's just take it from a small thing of being creative and crazy for putting out our specials. Those could make or break us too. You know, if you do it a wrong way, it's that fear that you have to leap over, you know, and we create these specials to keep everyone excited, to keep us excited, to have creativity, to show our work. But also too, it's fearful too, because we're putting out new products, something different, and we don't know how well it's going to be received. And that just goes, that's a small thing on like such a big level, like in the sense that like we all have those fears, and even if it's in a small way, you also have it in such a big way too, and just life in general. So absolutely.
But if you're doing, if you have those fears, it's good. But if you're doing it for the right reason, you need to like digest and look at yourself. Doing it for the right reason. If you like want to do this, believe in it, passionate about it, those are all good reasons to move forward with something. So don't let the fear hold you back when you have those beliefs and that this is the right thing. Like if you're doing it to make profit, or you're doing it for something other than like real like love, passion, like the right reasons, then, there's a good chance that it's going to slide the other way. But I believe, and myself and the people that are part of that have the same beliefs too. But really, I might be getting a little wordy here, but it's just,
no, I like it. So I'm going to wrap up. Do you guys have anything else you want to share? I don't want to totally, I think you guys have shared a lot of really cool stuff. I'm excited to put this out. I just want to say, for anyone who's listening, for anyone who's on Facebook Live or any, whatever magic we got going on. And if you're on Facebook Live and you don't like the camera work, you can blame Veronica. She's trying to do her best. But Veronica, the intern, who had her first bite of a NONLA burger just before the show. But anyway, just want to give one last shout out. This is Kyle and Natasha from NONLA Burger in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Super awesome burger joint, and recently married couple, and very creative, talented people that we're excited to have. And you can check them out online. Is it nonlaburger.com? Mm-hmm. Okay, nonlaburger.com. And your Instagram handle is what?
NONLA Burger. NONLA
Burger. NONLABURGER. And if you're lucky, we'll add an extra outtake at the end of this podcast of Veronica trying to say the word burger, because she's from Kenya and she has a very fun accent. So anyway, appreciate y'all coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. That is a wrap.